Morning, everyone. How we doing today? So it's Sunday, which means I need to do my goals this week, which I will be doing after this video and kind of share those with you. But real quick, it's Sunday again. I've been warning for quite some time now that we were about to have 2 weeks of predominantly negative and scary news, and we're 1 week through that. So we've got one more week to go. I think what next week will be dominated by is some pretty scary counts on, number of cases. And again, that should be a good thing, right? What we were behind out of the gate was number of test cases, right? I remember, I think when California had 100 test cases or something really small for the entire state, right? So we weren't scaling to test. So now we are. And that's a good thing. And we're going to be scaling our testing for a long time. We will get ahead of this, which when you're able to test en masse, it allows you to have another option other than stay at home, right? Once we get to, a flattening of this thing and the ability to test and test quickly, we'll be able to test the people that might be sick. And if they are, stay home. And if you're not, go to work, right? So these are things that need to happen. So again, when you see scary six-figure, cases in the U.S., um, sorry about that. YouTube gave me a little warning, so it allowed me to reconnect. Hopefully you're still there. So again, what I was trying to say there is don't be scared by the cases. They will be six figures. They will be frightening at some level. But this is how we have to go. So we have other options than just telling people home. Looking over there at my puppies. I think he wants to go out. Oh, no, he's okay, I think. Yeah, he's going to be okay. So what this is important for us is because we need another option than just crushing the economy. And I think we're getting closer to that fact. So that is a good thing. Next up, we've got a couple of interesting things that I've kind of pulled together. First, Bank of America. I don't know if you've heard this, but Bank of America was one of the first banks to say, hey, if you've been impacted by this thing, call us up. We will give you pretty much a 90-day forbearance pretty easily, right? At least my understanding of what I read. So a couple of things. So first off, it looks like they've had 150,000 requests. 150,000 in about a 2 week window, if the article is to be believed. So they talked about one payee that was $2,000. I don't know if that's the average payment or not. I assumed it was. So what I did is I took $2,000 times 150,000 people. That's $300 million. $300 million a month. So that's almost $1 billion in non-payments for one bank. That's frightening. Even if it was $1,000 a month was the average payment, that's still $150 million a month or $450 million over 90 days. So we're talking real payments. The gist of the article was just because basically you've read that we're going to give you a forbearance and one of the options is we'll stick it on the end of the loan. That is turning out to be not the option that is available for most folks. Apparently, again, what this article is saying is that Bank of America has service providers that kind of service most of their loans. And right now, given the rules and regulations in place, what they're saying is, great, we'll give you 3 months, no problem, right? Document, pay stub, unemployment, whatever it is. But month 4, you owe all past 3 payments and your 4th payment. In this example, this individual is going to go owe $8,000 in 120 days. So again, just like your tenants, this is not forgiveness. You want that rent payment. And at least as the rules are written now, Bank of America is going to require, because they have to, all 4 payments on that 4th month. I think most people are shocked by that. Most people go, I can't pay my mortgage now. What makes you think I can pay 8 grand later? It's kind of where we are. This is what makes me believe that there will be some kind of legislation that mandates they go on the back or whatever. Because it's the service providers that are really causing a kink in this thing now. Next up was Quicken Loans, one of the largest kind of service providers out there. They're already in a cash crunch because, again, all these people potentially asking for forgiveness or forbearance, forbearance, not forgiveness, but they still have to pay their investors. So again, I did some math for them. They're estimating they may need upwards of $100 billion for the industry. So I wanted to figure out what that meant, right? Their math says this might go on 6 months. Okay, so $100 billion divided by 6 equals $16.6 billion a month. Okay. So again, just like earlier, if you assume the average payment is $2,000 or $2,200, I think in this case, that is 7.5 million people asking for forbearance. 7.5 million. If you assume it's an $1,100 average payment, you're looking at 15 million people asking for forbearance. So again, real big numbers gives you a feel for the scale and scope of folks impacted. These are just really, really big numbers. So we have to see where this goes. Next up for me, it's going to be the retailers. I think restaurants and, kind of hotels felt the brunt of this first. Lots of retailers were ready to take the 2 week kind of, okay, we'll shut down for 2 weeks, but now it's coming up to the end of March. And, we're going to see what happens. A lot of them are saying they're going to pay through April 4th, which I think is a Friday. Might be a Saturday. I actually don't know. 1, 2, 3. I guess it's Saturday. But after that, they're going to have to furlough or lay off employees. So we could see another big spike in unemployment, as I kind of highlighted this Thursday, right? I think this Thursday could actually be bigger than last Thursday, which is pretty telling. So next thing up is it looks like mall traffic has changed forever. That's at least the current thinking. Give your thoughts on the landlady who posted the message because her tenants organized said they want. Yeah, I'll try to answer that later in a minute. So I'm curious what you think about mall traffic, right? And the whole big box retailers. The U.S. economy will be reshaped by this. I think one of those industries will be mall providers. I think we're going to have to rethink the mall. I think in fairness, it was already kind of slowly evolving, but this event's going to force a big change. So that is interesting. So next up, I got a comment from someone that I guess everybody by now, or at least most people have seen. I think this is the post you're referring to. I saw it on Facebook. The comment made it about Reddit, but what I have seen, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is there was a lady who has I think it was a 30-unit apartment building. And at least based on what I saw, there was a little handwritten note that says all 30 tenants are going on rent strike, is what I heard. And, they're all not paying rent. And the owner is in trouble, right? Because what can you do? So a couple of things. So I've seen that. Posted and reposted lots of times. My first thought on that is it's fake. My hope in humanity is people don't go that route, right? We are sending trillions of dollars out into the system. We're giving unemployment benefits like never before, super goose. So honestly, part of me thinks it's fake news. Part of me thinks it was somebody had a creative idea. It got going. People started to repost and repost and repost. Is it possible? Sure. Anything's possible these days. I own apartment buildings. I guess I'll let you know next week. It's possible they all talked. I just hold out more hope that landlords and tenants communicate through this and they work it out together. If it's real, pretty simple. You take that letter to your lender and say, here you go. right? I would probably take that lender to the sheriff or the police as well, because that's an interesting behavior, right? That's or take it to a lawyer because that's weird. But I'd start serving 3-day notices right away, right? Maybe you can't evict, but you can certainly evict when the time is over. It'd be an easy forbearance from the bank, and I would just handle it as business as usual. The worst thing that happens to this lady is she loses the building. I mean, that she's not going to die, right? But so part of me thinks it in this era of social media that that's just fake. But again, I will admit that that's 100% because I believe people are good versus people are bad. That's just how I naturally lean. I know plenty of people out there have been freaking out about it and, telling her to. One person said, take all the doors off. That's, come on, that's illegal and spiteful. Yeah, so that's what I think. Yeah, I think it's fake. So yeah, if you have other questions, feel free to ask. I love talking about this stuff. So that's what I have for today. Again, mall traffic, retailers. I think this week is going to be. I think this week going to be again negative, predominantly negative news. But hopefully, this is the last week where negativity reigns. I'm hoping next week we come out with. We start to see the rate of cases roll over. We start to see the rate of fatalities roll over, which happens first before it declines. We are going to see, hopefully, the peak in unemployment claims. I think, again, this week will be bigger than last. And then we can get on with ourselves, right? Because once we flatten this curve, we can start taking steps to open the economy. And I don't know about you, but I've been home for nearly 2 weeks now, and I'm going nuts. It's crazy. So that's what I got for today. It's going to be interesting. I do believe that service providers, back to my point about Quicken Loans, they're going to get a loan from the Treasury. I think that happens next week. There's no way we can let Quicken Loans go out of business because they have to pay their investors and they're not collecting because of government forced forbearance. And again, it's not going to be a bailout. It's not. It'll be a loan because the payments are coming. It'll just be a loan. And frankly, the government can make money on it if they want to charge an interest rate, but that's up for them to decide. So, in the end, that's what I have for you today. Again, I may talk to you later this evening, see how they're setting up for Monday. But yeah, enjoy yourself, smile, have some fun, spend some time with family, and let's get through next week because the sun gets brighter next week. All right, everybody, take care. Bye.